The stars above were quiet, blinking gently over the small camp where the human soldier named Evan sat near the fire. He was sharpening his blade, thinking about tomorrow's patrol, unaware of the soft eyes watching him from the shadows. The alien girl Leary sat by the tent, her hands resting in her lap, her shoulders tense, her breath shallow. For 30 days she had waited. For 30 nights she had cooked, cleaned, guarded the perimeter, and sat beside him. But he never touched her, never spoke more than a few kind words, never looked at her the way a bonded male should. When he had rescued her from the slave auction on Varnix Prime, she thought it was fate. He had stood tall, angry, and brave, cutting the chains on her wrists, holding her hand as they escaped into the smoke and fire. In her culture, that act meant only one thing. He had chosen her. The alien bride contract had been sealed the moment he accepted her hand and gave her food. That was the law of her people. But maybe she had misunderstood him. Maybe humans didn't believe in such things. Evan looked up and saw her still sitting there, quiet as always. "You should sleep," he said simply. She nodded and stood, her tiny frame trembling, her bare feet light on the dust, but instead of going into the tent, she stopped near him, her eyes glowing softly in the firelight. He blinked, surprised by her sudden boldness. "Something wrong?" he asked. Leary opened her mouth, then closed it, then finally whispered, "It has been 30 days, human." He frowned, not understanding. 30 days since what? "Since you claimed me," she said, her voice barely above the crackle of the fire. His eyes widened, blade forgotten in his hand. "Claimed you?" he repeated. She nodded, stepping a little closer, her hands clenched tightly. "In my world, when a male saves a female, when he shares his food, protects her, and shelters her, it means he has chosen her as his mate." Evan stared at her, stunned. "I didn't know," he said, honestly. "I thought I was helping you because you were in danger." Leary looked down, pain flashing across her face. "I know. You never touched me. You never spoke soft to me. You treated me like a soldier." She swallowed hard, her next words shaky. "But I thought maybe you would feel something. In time." The firelight danced between them, silent and hot. "I counted the days," she whispered. "I waited for your hand to reach for mine, even once." Evan dropped the knife, his mind racing. He hadn't meant to hurt her. He respected her, maybe too much. He thought she needed space, recovery, freedom. He didn't realize that his silence had been crushing her hope every single day. "Leary," he said, but the words failed. She shook her head gently. "If 30 days pass without claiming, the female must take the first step or leave." He looked into her eyes, violet and wet with unshed tears. "What does first step mean?" he asked, barely able to breathe. She stepped closer, so close he could feel her warmth. Her voice dropped, trembling with courage and fear. "It means I show you I'm yours before I'm taken back." He froze, his heart thudding in his chest. Taken back by who? By her clan? Her elders? Was she running out of time? She took his hand slowly, like touching fire. "You saved me from the cage," she said softly. "But I don't want to be a shadow in your tent." Then she leaned close and whispered against his chest, "You haven't claimed me in 30 days, human. Must I take the first step?" The fire cracked loudly behind them, but neither moved. For the first time, Evan saw not just a rescued girl, but someone waiting, aching, for belonging, for love, for something more. He opened his mouth to speak, but the words didn't come. All he knew was the 30 days were over, and everything was about to change. Evan sat by the dying fire long after Leary had gone inside the tent. Her words echoed in his ears like a whisper, trapped between the stars. "You haven't claimed me in 30 days, human. Must I take the first step?" He had no idea what to say or how to feel. He had fought aliens, faced death, walked through storms of fire. But now, one small girl's trembling voice had shaken him more than any battlefield. He got up slowly, dusting ash from his hands, and stepped toward the tent. He paused at the flap, unsure. Should he say something, explain himself, apologize? But before he could decide, her voice came from inside, soft but steady. There's nothing more to say, human. I just needed you to know. He stepped back, the silence pressing on him like weight. That night, he didn't sleep much. The stars above him burned, bright, but they gave no answers. By morning, she was gone. Her bedroll was empty, her small pack missing, her scent faint on the wind. Evan jumped to his feet, heart pounding. He ran through the clearing, scanning the trees, shouting her name. "Leary, where are you?" No answer. His boots pounded the ground as he followed her tracks. She didn't cover them. She wanted him to find her. That gave him a small spark of hope. He caught up to her by the riverbank, her feet in the water, her back to him. "Leary," he said, breathless. She didn't turn. "You weren't supposed to follow me," she whispered. "I had to," he said, stepping closer. "Why didn't you tell me before?" She hugged her arms to her chest. "Because your people don't follow our customs. You saved me, but you didn't choose me. In my culture, when a warrior saves a female, gives her shelter, food, and protection, it means a bond has started." Evan felt his chest tighten. "I didn't know," he said quietly. "I didn't want to hurt you. I was trying to respect your space." She looked over her shoulder, her eyes unreadable. "But your silence hurt more." She sat on a stone and looked up at the sky. "There's an ancient law in my clan," she said. "If 30 days pass after the bond, and the male does not claim the female, she must take the first step. If she is not accepted, she must leave or her spirit will fade." Evan sat on the ground across from her. "Fade," he repeated. "She loses her hope, her will to stay, her connection to the stars." Leary explained. "My people believe the soul withers when it is unwanted." A chill ran down Evan's spine. This wasn't just romance or misunderstanding. This was survival, emotional, spiritual, deep. "Leary, I didn't ignore you," he said, voice low. "I thought I was protecting you from more pain. I didn't know claiming you meant so much." She stared at him, tears caught in the corners of her eyes. "Then what did I mean to you?" she asked. He opened his mouth, then closed it. He didn't have the words yet, but he knew he didn't want her to walk away. Not now, not ever. "You stayed," he said slowly. "You made this broken place feel like home. I looked forward to seeing you by the fire, hearing your voice, feeling safe." Leary's eyes widened slightly. "Then why didn't you say it?" "Because I didn't think I deserved you," he confessed. "You're brave, strong, and beautiful, and I'm just a soldier trying to survive." A long silence stretched between them. Then Leary stood, wiping her face. "In our law, if the male does not claim, the female may choose to prove her worth or leave forever." She turned and began walking into the trees again. "I don't want to prove myself to someone who's unsure," she whispered. "I want to be wanted without trying." Evan stood, there frozen. The wind whispered through the trees. The ancient law was not just a rule. It was a test of hearts. And time was running out. Would he let her vanish into the stars? Or finally take the step he had feared for too long? Evan stood alone in the clearing, her words burning through his chest like fire. "I want to be wanted without trying." Leary was gone again, deeper into the forest, and he could feel her slipping away. He grabbed his gear and followed, heart pounding faster with every step. The sky above grew dark as evening approached. Branches tangled over the trail, and thick mist curled along the forest floor. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. He had let 30 days pass, lost in confusion and silence. Now he had no more time to wait. Up ahead, a figure appeared between the trees. Leary standing near a glowing tree root that pulsed with soft purple light. She turned slowly as he approached, her face unreadable. "You followed," she said, not surprised, not angry, just tired. "Of course I followed," Evan replied, trying to catch his breath. I couldn't let you go like that. She looked down, toes pressing into the moss. But you already did. No, he said, taking a step forward. I didn't understand before, but I do now. I don't want to lose you. Leary shook her head gently, her silver hair swaying. You still don't get it, she whispered. If you touch me now, if you reach out with your hand, it will be seen by the forest spirits. He blinked, confused. What do you mean? There's an ancient rule, she said slowly. If a male touches a female after 30 days in this sacred place, it is no longer a simple bond. It becomes a soul promise. Your life and mine, forever linked. Evan's breath caught. Forever, no. Way out. No reversal. No pretending later it was all a mistake. She stepped closer, stopping just a breath away. Her violet eyes met his, filled with fear and fire. I'm not asking you to do it, she said. I just want to know before I vanish, did I mean anything at all to you? He didn't move, didn't speak. Inside his chest, his heart hammered. He had saved her life, yes, but had he ever truly seen her? Not as a rescued creature, but as a woman with her own hope, her own fire. His silence was breaking her now more than chains ever did. I thought I was being kind, he finally said, voice hoarse. I thought giving you space was what you needed. I didn't want to be another man forcing things on you. She stepped back, shaking her head. You were never forcing, she whispered. You were freezing. She turned and began to walk again. But this time, she paused under an arch of glowing trees. This place is sacred, she said without turning. If you truly want me and you are ready for forever, reach for my hand now. But if you're still unsure, turn back. Evan stared, frozen. The wind around him went still. Even the insects had stopped. The forest itself was waiting. He took a step, then another. But before he reached her, 3 alien figures appeared from the shadows, tall and cloaked in moss and armor. Guardians, spirits, or maybe real warriors. He didn't know. They raised their staffs, blocking his path. If you reach, one of them said in a voice like stone. You bind yourself, human. Her pain becomes your pain, her future your burden, her soul tied to yours. Evan looked past them at Leary. She wasn't looking back now. She was giving him a chance to turn away. No blame, no hate. Just final silence. He took one breath, then stepped forward. The staffs crackled with energy, but did not strike. He reached out, slowly, trembling, and placed his hand over hers. Leary turned, eyes wide, breath caught in her throat. You chose, she whispered. He nodded, his hand still holding hers gently. I choose you, Leary, he said. I was just too slow to see it. The guardians vanished into mist, and the forest light grew warm. Around them, the roots glowed brighter, as if the earth itself approved. She stepped closer, resting her head on his chest. You touched me in the sacred place, she whispered. There's no going back. I don't want to, Evan replied, finally sure, finally whole. Evan sat by the river that night, his arms around his knees staring into the water, the stars reflected on the surface, calm and cold. But inside him everything was a storm. He had touched her, claimed her in the sacred place. But now that the moment had passed, fear crept into his bones. Was he ready for what came next? Not just a bond, but a life, a promise, a soul tie. What if he hurt her again? What if he wasn't enough? Behind him, Leary sat silently near the tree, wrapping herself in her cloak. She didn't speak, didn't look at him. Her face was calm, but her eyes told a different story, something like doubt, something like disappointment. He had taken her hand, but had he taken her heart? Evan stood slowly and walked toward her, stopping a few feet away. Leary, he said gently. She looked up, her voice soft. You don't have to say anything. I know what you're feeling. He blinked. You do. She nodded, eyes never leaving his face. You regret it, she said. Not because you don't care, but because now it's real. Evan opened his mouth to speak, but she held up her hand. It's okay, she continued. You're human, you don't grow up with this depth of bonding. You didn't know what our touch meant. He dropped to one knee, his voice trembling. I don't regret choosing you, he said. I regret not understanding sooner. I regret every night you sat waiting for a word from me. Every morning you looked at me like you mattered, and I looked away. Leary turned her face slightly, hiding something in her eyes. I thought maybe, after 30 days, you'd finally see me, she whispered. But when you took my hand, you looked scared. Not happy. Evan leaned forward, guilt tightening around his chest like armor. I was scared, he admitted, because you're not just someone I saved. You're someone I could lose. And that frightens me more than war. A pause stretched between them, full of words neither could say. Then she spoke, her voice quiet. In my culture, when a male touches his chosen in the sacred place, he must speak a vow before the stars. If he doesn't, the bond fades. Evan felt his throat tighten. I didn't know that. Leary smiled a little, but it was a sad smile. You've said many things, Evan, she whispered, but not the vow. He stared at the stars above, then closed his eyes. What could he say that would be enough, that would heal what he broke, that would show her she wasn't just a mission? She was his reason. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small token, a broken dog tag he had carried since the Battle of Eros. He pressed it into her palm. This belonged to my brother, he said. He died saving others just like I tried to save you. But you didn't need saving. You needed to be seen. He took a deep breath and then spoke to the stars. I vow before the stars and the forest and the spirits who watch that I see you, Leary. I choose you, not because I rescued you, but because you are brave, strong, and the only one who made me feel like I still have a heart. I will never let you feel invisible again. Leary's eyes widened, lips parting with surprise. The air shimmered slightly, as if the forest itself had heard. A soft wind circled them, gentle and warm, carrying the vow into the night. Placed the dog tag over her heart and closed her eyes. Then I accept, she whispered. But it will take time to believe it. Evan nodded. I'll wait, he said, for as long as it takes. That night, they didn't speak again, but for the first time she didn't sleep far from him. She laid her bedroll near his, not touching, but close enough to feel his presence. And he didn't close his eyes until he heard her breathing slow into sleep. The regret hadn't vanished, but something else had begun, something worth fighting for. Morning light filtered through the trees as Evan stirred from sleep. His body ached from sleeping on the cold ground, but his heart felt heavier. Leary wasn't beside him. She had risen early, gone to gather water, or maybe just needed space. Again he sat up slowly, running a hand through his hair. Then he heard the sound, soft feet on soil, not one but many. He stood quickly, grabbing his weapon out of instinct. Shapes moved through the trees, cloaked figures with curved blades and glowing eyes. They came with grace, not violence. But there was no doubt. They were warriors. Leary stepped out from behind them, her face calm but tense. My people, she said quietly. They've come for the trial. Evan lowered his weapon, confused. Trial? He asked. She nodded, her voice serious. They saw the binding. They felt the touch beneath the sacred arch. Now they demand proof that your choice was real. The tallest warrior stepped forward, a woman with silver markings across her face. Her voice was sharp like ice. We watched your vow, human, she said. But words can be wind. Do you know her heart? Do you truly understand the one you touched? Evan swallowed hard. I'm trying to, he said honestly. The woman's eyes narrowed. Trying is not enough, she said. You must face the trial of intention. Leary looked at Evan, her eyes pleading but proud. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "They can't force you." "But," Evan shook his head, "if this is what it takes to earn your trust, then I'll do it." The warriors formed a circle around him, silent and watchful. The leader stepped forward and spoke again. "You will be asked 3 questions," she said. "If your answers are true, your bond will be recognized. If they are false, she will be taken back, her memory of you erased, her bond dissolved." Evan felt his breath catch. Erased. That word hit harder than anything else. The first question came, sharp and fast. "What makes her laugh?" Evan blinked, heart racing. Then he smiled a little. "When the firewood cracks in strange shapes, she makes faces at them," he said. "She pretends they're warriors or dancers. She thinks I don't see, but I do." The warriors said nothing, but Leary's lips parted slightly in surprise. The Dawi. Second question followed. "What makes her cry?" This time Evan didn't answer right away. He looked at Leary, then back at the warriors. "When I go quiet for too long," he said softly. "When I treat her like a soldier, not a person." She hides her tears, but I've seen them. Leary turned her face away, eyes glistening. The third and final question came. What dream has she never dared to say aloud? This one stopped him cold. He stared at the ground, searching. Reaching deep, he remembered her voice at night, her gaze at the stars, the way she lingered at the edge of sleep like she feared waking. Then he spoke. "She dreams of a home," he said. "Not a ship, not a camp, not a cell. She wants to plant something, flowers maybe, or food. She wants to belong, somewhere where no one ever makes her feel like she's temporary." The silence that followed was heavy. Even the wind held still. Then the lead warrior stepped back and lowered her blade. "The bond is true," she declared. "The trial of intention is past." Leary let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Her people stepped away, fading into the trees like mist. She approached Evan slowly, hands trembling slightly. "You remembered," she whispered. He nodded. "I paid attention." She touched his chest lightly. "Not all who save lives understand hearts," she said. "But you do." Evan smiled, taking her hand gently. "I may not know all your customs," he said, "but I know I don't want a life without you in it." She leaned her head against him, and for the first time, no trial, no fear, no silence stood between them. Just the quiet sound of 2 hearts beginning to beat in rhythm. The forest had returned to silence. The warriors were gone, shadows fading into morning mist. Evan and Leary stood side by side, not touching now, but not apart either. The trial of intention was over, the bond recognized by her people, but something still hung in the air, unspoken, waiting. Leary walked to the edge of the clearing, her feet slow, her breath quiet. She stared up at the sky, where the first suns of her homeworld were rising, twin lights glowing over the horizon, warm and golden. She remembered watching those skies from the cages, dreaming of freedom, and now she was free, but still unsure if she was truly wanted. Evan followed but didn't speak. He knew this wasn't his moment, this was hers. She turned to him at last, her voice soft. "My people have accepted the bond," she said, "but I haven't decided if I do." Evan's heart skipped a beat. "I understand," he said quietly. She stepped forward, eyes fixed on his. "You passed their questions," she continued. "You saw the things I never said, but I need to know something more." He nodded, bracing himself. "Ask me anything." She looked down at her hands, then back at him. "I need to know if you chose me because of guilt or because of love." The words hit like a wave. He had never used the word love out loud, not once. Not during the trial, not when they touched, not even at the sacred place. "I saved you because I couldn't walk away," he said slowly. "But I stayed because you made me want to be someone better. When you're near, I feel whole again." "Is that love?" Leary's lips trembled slightly. "I don't want to be your healing," she whispered. "I want to be your equal." "You are," he said without hesitation. "You're stronger than me, braver too." I was afraid to speak, to feel, to act, but you weren't. She took a slow breath. Then why didn't you say something before? I sat beside you for 30 nights. He looked down, guilt pressing into his chest again. I thought silence was respect, he said. I didn't know it felt like rejection to you. I was afraid touching you would feel like control. Leary stepped even closer, her voice now calm but clear. You never had to touch me, she said. Just one look would have been enough. He smiled sadly. Then I was blind. She looked into his eyes for a long moment, then turned around and began walking away again, not in anger this time, but in reflection. He didn't follow, not yet. He knew this path was hers to walk alone, even if just for a while. She walked through the trees, listening to her own heartbeat. Could she trust this bond? Could she give her heart to someone who had taken so long to see her, but also, could she walk away now after hearing his vow, after feeling his trembling hand in hers? At the edge of the forest, she stopped. One more step, and she would disappear into the wild. Start over. Forget everything. But her feet refused to move. She turned slowly, and there he was, still standing in the same place. No demands, no begging, just waiting, willing to let her choose. Leary took a breath, then a step, then another. She walked back into the clearing, her hands open, her head held high. He watched her come, his heart racing. She stopped just a breath away from him, her eyes shining with something new. Something soft, something real. I took the first step, she whispered. Now take one with me. Evan reached out, not with fire, but with warmth. His hand met hers in the middle. Not claiming, not demanding, just sharing. They stood like that under the twin suns. Two souls who had walked in silence, now standing in understanding. Not everything was healed. Not everything was perfect. But the first step had been taken, together. Evan and Leary sat beneath the twin suns as the forest slowly came to life around them. Bird-like creatures called through the canopy, and light danced across the leaves. But in the quiet between them, nothing needed to be said. Not yet, fingers. Still gently linked, they watched the world wake up as if it too waited for their next step. Leary leaned back against a smooth stone, her eyes turned toward the glowing sky. Her voice was calm, but carried something deeper than words. In my world, claiming someone isn't about power, she said. It's about choosing them, even when it's easier not to. Evan looked at her, studying her profile. The soft curve of her cheek, the line of her jaw, the quiet fire in her gaze. She wasn't a lost girl anymore. She was someone who had walked through silence, rejection, and doubt, and still stood tall. I didn't understand that before, he said, voice low. I thought I was being careful, respectful, but really I was just afraid to reach out. Leary turned her head slowly, meeting his eyes. And now? She asked. He nodded, no hesitation in his voice. Now I'm sure. I choose you, not because I feel sorry, not because I'm trying to fix something broken. I choose you because I see you, and I want to walk forward with you, not in front, not behind, but beside. Her eyes softened, but still she didn't smile. There's one last thing, she whispered. In our tradition, after the bond is confirmed, the chosen one must give a symbol, a gift that means you're serious about forever. Evan raised his eyebrows slightly. A gift. She nodded. Something true, not expensive, not shiny. Something that carries your heart. He looked down, thinking. His pack was light, just survival gear, tools, spare clothes, rations. Then his eyes fell on something hanging from his neck. He took it off slowly, fingers brushing over the small metallic piece. It was a soldier's badge, worn and scratched. Not his brother's. The one who had died back on aerospace. He had never taken it off, not since the war. It was the only piece of his past he carried without shame. He turned it over in his palm, then looked at her. This isn't just a tag, he said. It's the last piece of someone I loved deeply, someone I wanted to protect but couldn't. I've carried it with me as a reminder of who I lost. But today, I want to give it to someone I still have. He gently placed the tag into her hand, closing her fingers around it. Her breath caught, lips parting in surprise. "This is heavy," she whispered. "I know," he said, "but so is love." For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then Leary reached up and placed the tag around her neck, letting it rest against her skin. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was clear. "Then I accept you, Evan. Not as my rescuer, not as my guard, but as my chosen." He smiled, and for the first time she smiled back, open and real. Then she stepped forward and placed her palm flat against his chest. "From this moment we share everything," she whispered. "Pain, joy, silence, laughter." Evan laid his hand over hers, nodding once. "No more fear," he said. "No more distance." The forest seemed to sigh in approval, the light shifting just slightly warmer. A breeze moved through the leaves, carrying the soft sound of belonging. Not forced, not claimed by rules, but chosen by hearts that had wandered too long alone. They didn't kiss. Not yet. But the way they stood told the whole story, one that started with silence and ended in understanding. As the sun rose higher, they turned toward the path ahead, not looking back, not wondering, just walking forward step by step together, and in her small hand the tag still rested, no longer a weight of loss but a promise of everything yet to come.